Hello, welcome to Pilgrims Therapy Centre Time to Create. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kathleen and I'm a wellbeing practitioner. Today I'm going to show you how to do watercolour painting. This will be a little different in that it's going to be inspired by Chinese brush painting. Chinese brush painting is one of the oldest continuous artistic traditions in the world, using simple and effortless brushstrokes to depict the essence of a scene or a picture or whatever you're painting. Each brushstroke is defined in it's a single move that is not changed or corrected, and with just a few learnt strokes we can produce a lovely picture. So in order to do this, there's a few basic things that we will need. First of all, we need some watercolours. And today we're simply going to just use yellow and black is considered a colour in Chinese brush painting. We need a palette, and I've just got a saucer here, so it couldn't be even simpler than that. Some paper, that can be a little bit more specialised. Watercolour paper is lovely, however I'm going to have a go at using rice paper. We can get this anywhere, Amazon. It's very thin, it's very absorbent, so whatever you put on the paper, it absorbs the water and the paint, so you can get some wonderful surprises. Brushes, again, just two today, a thicker one and a smaller one, and both of these have got what we would call a thick belly on it, because we want to absorb the water, we want to press down and the water to come out. These are quite specialised, again available on Amazon. However, ordinary watercolour brushes would do equally well. Again, you can see they're ones that are quite thick to hold the water, but with a point as well. So that's our brushes. We need some water. Got 2 jars here, that should do us, so we can keep our brushes clean and mix our paint. And some kitchen towel, and that is because we're going to use that just to test the absorbency of the brush and what we've actually got on there. And that is going to get us started today. Okay, so here we are on our painting desk, all ready to start painting. We have our brush that's quite loaded with water, and I'll just brush it on the side of the jar, and some mixture of quite a lot of water and just a thin paint mixture. And here we go, our first stroke onto the onto the paper. We're just going to touch the paper, pressure down and up. Touch the paper, pressure down and up. And as you can see already, we've drawn 2 leaves. Amazing. Or we can touch the paper, pressure, release, pressure, release, pressure, release. And then we have several little leaves already. And they look like bamboo leaves, don't they? Another stroke would be a side stroke, and this will look just like a lotus leaf. 1, 2, 3. As you can see, as the paint comes off the brush, you get what we call flying white, and that just adds excitement to the painting, and you can imagine the light reflecting off the leaf. And we'll just do the little stalk, no pressure, pressure at the end. And if we load with a slightly darker paint on the end, we can just dance down around the edge as though we're showing the shadow of the leaf behind it as it turns. There we are. And we could maybe do something like a begonia leaf. Pressure, keep moving the tip down, begin to release the pressure. And now I'm going to have to move across my body this way because I'm left-handed. Pressure, trying to keep control of the tip. Beginning to release the pressure. And there we go. no pressure, pressure. We can vein if we want, can't we? There we are. Just gently put them in where you feel it's appropriate. A side stroke would give us the side leaf. There we are. And then again, we'll dance around to get the other side of the leaf in a slightly darker paint. And your stalk. And we could even be very adventurous and give a nice sweeping stroke of a big leaf up the page and down. There. And now I think we're ready to have a little go at our first painting. Now we're ready to go at our first painting. Oh, this is exciting. So I've loaded my brush with a pale wash of black, and I'm just going to tip in a darker black. Very simple. This is your first bamboo. Sweep across the page, a slight wiggle, sweep, a slight wiggle, sweep. There. I think we could do one more, a little paler. Sweep across the page, a wiggle, sweep across the page, a wiggle, and sweep across the page. There. I'm going to tip with a darker ink, and we're just going to try and make it look like where the bamboo joins. There and there. A little bit more dark ink. Just trying to imagine how the plant would be and grows naturally, and the little darker bits of shade that will come in at this side. There we are. Not so much this one. This one looks like it's further away, doesn't it? Because it's lighter. There. And that's our bamboo. A little bit more water. A little bit more pale paint. I'll just dab it on the tissue, and we'll look at putting some little branches in. There. And now we're going to think about our leaves. So a pale colour tipped with a little bit darker. No pressure, pressure, no pressure, no pressure, pressure, pressure. And so on. It really pays to know your subject and go out and have a look and see how whatever plant you're painting, look and see how it actually grows and how the leaves are formed. And we'll just keep going as we do our best to try and make it look like perhaps it's blowing in the wind slightly. There. There. We have a few leaves. Now I think we've got room here to maybe be a little bit more adventurous, and we're going to put a little bird in here. I'm sure we can all manage that. So we're going to get our tiny brush. We're going to dip it in the dark ink. And let's put the big one down for now. And we'll just think about his little beak. Perhaps there. And his eye. And he's sitting on the branch, so let's get his toes in. There. And there. And you can see how the paper absorbs the paint. And now we're going to go for a very, very pale wash. Just try and get it nice and pale and see what happens here. And there he is. And I think just a tiny bit of yellow there, there, and that is your first painting with just those few strokes that you've learnt. So now we're going to start our flower, the iris, again using those simple strokes that we learnt of just pressure and no pressure. So we've loaded the brush with some light black ink and slightly darker on the tip. A little bit of pressure, no pressure, pressure. Dance it across a bit. That's our first bit of the iris. And now we're looking for, I think they're called flags, aren't they, irises, as it comes down. And down here as well. There we are. A little bit more paint. And now we're looking towards the other side. Just pressure and no pressure. Gently dancing the brush around so you've got a shadow of a petal underneath. Slightly more water, a little bit more pale watercolour, and then we'll go for the top where the petals open. Tip with a slightly darker ink, and then pressure and bring it round and bring it round. Giving slightly pressure and no pressure. And then maybe we can dance the brush around again as though we have a slightly bigger petal just seen from the back. There we are. Then we'll change to our very small yellow brush. It's just going to put the yellow down the middle. I think this is where the bees get pollen from. It's drying up a bit, it's got very hot in here. And down there. Always try and remember where the centre of the flower is, which will be here. So we're going to try and join it all up together, and it pays to look at what you're drawing, study the natural flower as it grows perhaps in your garden or in the park, or you can see it on the television or in a magazine, and just study it. There, and that's quite pretty. And we now need to put a stem. So we're going to get some more water on our brush, just dry it a bit, a nice pale black, and I'm just going to try and not get the whole brush down, a little bit more ink, down, stop, down. And this is kind of as the iris stem tends to do that, and if we can, just to indicate a little bud just coming there. Little bit more ink, and then we can be a bit more adventurous now and put some big sweeping strokes to indicate our leaves coming up the page and then across, and then just here I'm going to add a little wiggle. I don't know if you've noticed, iris leaves tend to do that, they seem to dry out at the end. Just like our paint is. There we are, a little bit more paint. with less moisture, and perhaps bring them up across there, and one more, just tip. There. Now I think we've done so well. We're going to put a little bumblebee in there if we can, just to add some interest. So here's his body. Just paint that in like a little dot. I guess if I had a bigger brush I would just paint that as a yellow dot. And I'll rinse that out, I think, and use the same tiny brush to get his eyes. Just either side. And the top of his legs, they tend to come back like this, don't they, bumblebees? Then we rinse again. And we'll see if we can get just a very pale wash of black, just to indicate the rest of his legs. His beautiful little wings. And then very pale wash to indicate his head. There, that's our bumblebee, and maybe we should chance our luck and see if we can get a little bird just in the bottom here. Again, it's all going to be done with the same strokes that you've already learnt. So we'll start with his beak and the eye. A little circle there, and maybe just a little tuft. Birds seem to have that little bit of hair there. And we're going to go back to our bigger brush, and we want a very pale wash. I'll rinse my brush out, dry it quite a bit, and just a pale wash to indicate his body. He comes down here, and his tail, spots maybe, little sparrow. That just shows little bird. There. So with 2 colours and just a few strokes, you've created a beautiful flower. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you get a chance to have a go, and good luck with your painting in the future, and I hope you get a lot of pleasure from it. And if you get the chance, perhaps you'd like to upload your pictures. You'll find the link on our website, and then we can all share our art. Thank you for joining us today.